Hi everyone, my name is Christine Duque. I am the CEO of Alonsera. I am also an award-winning author and podcast host, and I'm an actress and opera singer as well. I am here today at Respect Vietnam and joining the Chopstick Friends. So my first assignment was to pick a cartoon from the comics, and this is what I chose. And I chose this because it talks about what I do is not as important as what I choose to be. True fulfillment comes from aligning what I am good at, what I love, what the world needs, and what I can be paid for. And the reason why I chose this is because I think it pretty much captures everything that I do and what I do in my life. I obviously have such a varied array of things that I do, but at the end of the day, what I choose to do is what I feel called to. So I live my life in purpose and really go and dive deep into everything that I do with passion and purpose. So whether it is helping organizations transform digitally and enabling them with AI solutions and the latest technology, or empowering women and underrepresented minorities, everything that I do is with passion and purpose. And I think this comic perfectly captures everything that I do and the essence of who I am.
Hey Christine, thanks for joining us. The Chopstick Friends is so proud to have you as one of the first international friends. And we're so lucky to have you, as well as having you. Remember that we discussed about what my concern with some of the VIP, some of the leaders in Vietnam, so proud in telling that, oh, AI would basically done 100% of what's going on in Vietnam, especially in terms of governance or law and policy. And then you make me feel so relieved saying that, oh, don't worry, it's only 30%. Another 70% gonna be us, people who driving all the changes. So can you explain to the Chopstick friend or tell us how come you come into them so confident, so inspiring, giving that number? Because that number I think is gonna make everything different.
No, thank you so much for having me, Tin Tao. I'm so honored to be here. So let me talk a little bit about why I'm talking about that the problem with AI is 30% data and technology, 70% about people.
Yeah.
First of all, I've been doing digital transformation since the beginning of digital transformation. As you had mentioned, working for Accenture, Deloitte, and IBM. And one of the lucky few who actually can say that I'm, successfully transformed $2 billion of a personal portfolio of global companies. And so what you learn from digital transformation is that it's not technology that's the problem, it's really the people. And with AI, it's no different. It's actually even magnified.
Yes.
That you need to actually get new skill sets. People have to learn this. People who are working currently in their jobs, people who are in their schools, no one's coming out with master's degrees in artificial intelligence and understanding all of the software and problems. But what AI is really solving for, what digital is solving for, is business processes, yes. Business process optimization. So if your business processes today are broken, and that's all related to people managing that, yeah. And you're taking those requirements and then creating AI solutions to that, what you're doing is magnifying broken business processes, and people say, oh, it's not working. Actually, it is working. It's just the problem was never solved to begin with. And so when you're thinking about AI in particular, you have to accept the number one thing. This is all about change. Yeah. And what people hate the most is change. And
right.
And the only constant in life is change. And so the platform itself forces you to think about change because it's about continuous learning. So it's always learning, it's always changing. Therefore, it's optimizing. And so what you've seen today is, different, and how you interact with the platform is different. And the technologies are changing so fast. So even the people who are in it, like myself, it's hard for us to keep up with the pace of change from the technology advancement.
Very true.
And so even more so around upskilling people. Why it's a people problem? At the end of the day, you can implement the technology, but if the people don't know how to use it and they don't know how to adopt it, I say this as an analogy, you have like a Ferrari sitting in the garage with no one knowing how to drive it.
Okay. Without thinking about it. How can I imagine that if I don't have one? Okay.
That's exactly what it is. You have a phenomenal piece of technology, but if no one knows how to operate it, then no one's going to drive it.
Then everything around is going to be Ferrari. That's an amazing metaphor. I like that. That explains everything. Thank you so much. So I'm so excited about the fairy metaphor. So I would like to continue with the second question.
Sure.
Or you can, elaborate it if you like. But we can talk about challenges all day long. Right. But all I believe that sometimes we have to go hit right into what the biggest challenge, because we can save a lot of time.
Yes.
That is the lean mindset from Japan. But when we talk about change, it is so painful to think about it, because people rather avoid that pain, especially the biggest pain. We rather, comfort ourselves with something smaller, easier to solve it.
Yes.
So how can we, or think about 70% of, about whatever, for people thinking, people, working on and master AIs and technology by looking into the biggest pain. Number one, do we need to? I want to hear it from you. And if we do so, then how to make people truly, like we are human, how we, number one, look into that biggest pain.
Sure.
Or the last one, how to make the people surrounding us, our team, our bosses, even in a family, how to make people working with us to solve or relieve that biggest pain.
Those are really great questions. And I think before I dive into how do we solve that pain, I think we need to understand the reason why.
Yes.
Why AI? Why is there so much hype around it? What's the big deal? First and foremost, it's projected to be, the global market is projected $15.7 trillion by 2030 for AI. Yeah. So the global market is saying that we're going to invest $15.7 trillion in AI by 2030. That's a huge number. Let me give you a little bit of context. To solve for world hunger, do you know how much it is to solve for world hunger? $25 billion. So the global economy is picking AI over solving world hunger. That's really crazy. But let's also think about why this is even more important. When you're looking at the history of innovation, of any sort of technology in the history of humanity, AI is the fastest piece of technology from a human adoption perspective. And I mean, by adoption, 90% of humans are going to adopt and use this technology. For context, it took 47 years for 90% of the human population to adopt a refrigerator in their house.
Alrighty.
47 years. And the internet was another 25 years.
Oh, yes.
And, when you're looking at smartphones, 23 years. Okay. And now you're looking at mobile applications that go inside of it, 10 years. AI is 3 to 4 years. Adoption of 90%.
Are we there yet?
We are at the very, very beginning and infancy of AI. We're just scratching the surface. And the way that I like to talk about AI and where we are, it's like being a teenager. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone says that they're doing it, but no one really knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So you've got this herd mentality that says everyone is, has a solution for AI. But it's very, very, very early days.
Easy to say it.
It's easy to say it. It's really, really early days. And to demystify that even more, when you look at the global economy, you look at companies, only 10% of global companies can actually say that they have fully deployed and implemented AI for their companies and are using it. And most of those companies, at 10%, are the technology companies that have actually built it. Like Google, for example, is using it. Microsoft is using it very, very, very well. And so now you've got the gap, to answer your point. Why is it so hard? Why is the pace of change? So we talked a lot about how fast the technology is changing. So to keep up with the technology is hard. this is new technology, so there's going to be a lot of upskilling and reskilling of resources to understand the technology. And it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So all of the different business processes in your company are different. How you're using AI is very, very different. And there's so many different solutions, so it can get really confusing for someone to figure that out. And then when you think about just human nature, again, resistance to change and not wanting change, most humans would probably say, oh, I don't need to be the first one. I can wait. I can wait. Let's
I wait for those who go first.
Exactly. I wait to go first. So you have that kind of mentality happening in organizations. And so it's not just organizations, it's also your global leaders trying to figure out regulation and implementation of AI. So that's kind of where we're at. So let's try to distill the hype versus the reality of where we're at. So to answer then the next question that you had, which is how do we solve for kind of this resistance? It really just comes down to education. You need to actually educate and demystify a lot of these things about AI. So many people still have this thing that AI is a silver bullet that's going to change everything. It's a magic wand, you turn it on, it's great. It's not. Like any sort of piece of technology that you implement, you need to learn how to use it. And because of the adaptable nature of the technology, it's going to constantly change. So education is really, really important, and continuous learning from that education is going to be important. And where this becomes an organization is even more important. Let's just talk about the leadership, right? Most leadership in organizations have never had to deal with AI before. So the education has to be a tops-down, bottoms-up approach across the entire organization. And what you really need in this day are realized leaders who are okay to admit that they don't know it and are smart enough to be able to take the entire organization along to the journey with AI. So this is essentially organizational transformation at the core of being able to solve and implement AI.
So you're telling me that education is all the root causes of everything. And given seeing the education system and education quality everywhere, you are telling me that we need to make changes in education to make changes everywhere else.
Well, yes, because, let's just talk about what you need in order to implement AI. First of all, you need AI experts. You need what is called forward deployed AI engineers. The majority of the market and what we've solved for because of digital transformation is software engineering. You can't replace the title and say software engineers are now forward deployed engineers. So there's a level of education and massive data scientists that you really need to bridge the gap between that. So we talk about the context in Vietnam. The government has said that they're going to have 7,000 AI experts and 5,000 AI startups by 2030. So
how we can do that?
How can you do that, right? So you have the great investment coming from, NVIDIA and SpaceX and Google, but how do you solve the gap from the investment when you've got academic institutions that are ill-equipped to be able to teach this core curriculum and then bridge that gap between education and pipeline towards the technology companies that are looking for this talent? So cause and effect, chicken and egg. This is basically kind of the problem of where AI is from an execution perspective becomes a little bit problematic.
I totally agree with you, and that is something we've been working on and also studying and try to look at a strategy and execution perspective, and I totally agree with you. But we even have a comic about that chicken and egg. About manpower quality versus what we want in business outcome. But we just don't want to really just leave it right there and say it out loud and say that's it, because that number one could be the reason why people don't want changes. What we're seeing here, like I mentioned, and I totally like it what you're saying, align with what I said earlier, because even you have amazing technology and architects, you train them and make them become better and better. There are still resistance for changes inside the organization, even though we say that we gotta make sure everyone to work together for that changes, right? Just few technician, few technology, but the leader is not there. The investor is not there. And the people who are actually using the money to promote for the work, or the people working on training others, non-technician, is in that company to make everything goes up. We call it learning on organization. That organization, they need to learn together. When people inside, they need to learn together to get things really happening. By number one, identify the ultimate goals that they want to go together. By doing that, then they will see the strength or actually the change, whether or not it's really come inside out, from within. So what do you think about that terms? What do you think about how's the way, the approach with having people, like maybe it's not, let's look at an organization only. Let's not the best person, because there are a lot of superstar in one organization cannot get along with others. That
Correct.
is some Asian culture you already know.
Yeah.
For team silo. So what do you think about learning organization? How to make people work together on some ultimate goal, make people learn about that goal and how to get there together?
Yeah, no, I think this is exactly the opportunity with AI, right? AI is going to absolutely magnify some really horrible truths about your organization.
Yeah.
And AI is all about bringing functional and technical, right? So you usually in organizations, you have your IT technical folks sitting here and you've got the business over here.
Yeah.
And AI really now is forcing organizations to marry the business and the technical side of the house and really move forward together, which is the reason why I like your chopstick analogy. So just keep this simple, right? And it's really about how do you actually get everyone working harmoniously together so that you can actually execute really well, right? And this is what I get so excited about Asia, right? If you take the chopstick analogy, that's only 2 tools, right? Working harmoniously together, which is less tools than what the West needs to do in order to eat. So you have forks, multiple forks and knives and everything else. And so let's try to take these 2 tools, right? So in an organization, it's functional and technical that need to come together.
Yeah.
So that also then translates to the fact that you've got implementation of technology and organizational change that needs to happen together. So to your point, it is all about strategy and execution that need to come together. It's quite simple when you break it down that way, but you know, in actuality, it's really hard because you throw in human nature and, you know, human nature usually will say this is too difficult or give up or, you know, create more friction than is needed.
Or I don't have goal at all.
Correct.
Or have so many goals at the same time.
Correct.
They flying or they killing each other, they smashing each other.
Correct. And then this is really, I think what's really hard about AI. This is about not just like organizational transformation from a people perspective. This is a whole transformation around your entire business objectives. This is about 100% new ways of working and new ways of seeing your business, new ways of measuring your business, new ways of conducting your business.
Yeah.
And that's really, really terrifying for a lot of people. And if you think about, again, that's the reality of it, and you distill that from the hype where people are like, oh my gosh, my job is going to go away. I'm like, actually, yes, your job is going to go away, not because you're going to lose your job and you're not going to have any source of income stream. It means that the job that you're doing today is just going to be very, very, very different. Yeah. It means that the opportunity with AI is for humans to actually use our human capacity for more strategic thinking instead of these manual processes and diminishing tasks. Exactly. That you can now automate.
The scariest one in the world.
Exactly. I lived in New York for 15 years, now moved to California, and now I have a car, and I'm not used to a car garage, so I've been known to drive the car out of the garage and not shut the garage, which means the door is open. But AI has now, you know, installed in my house and knows, like, you know, 5 minutes after the car is gone, shut the garage.
Oh, you get a smart house.
See?
Yeah.
Something like that is safe and easy, and I don't have to think about it. I mean, at the start, it sounds really scary, but this is very, very, there's a lot of practicality around AI.
I like that. That's super. Thank you so much. I think we have just a little bit of a small aspect. We can go back to this when we have more guests coming. But I would like you to basically briefly to say that we can talk all day. Your story is so inspiring, and why you leave IBM or Deloitte, Accenture to do your own. I mean, there's a few people there doing that, and why you coming to Asia, we're willing to help Vietnam. But I would like to stick in where actually you position yourself or your company, where I see that you have a lot of talent and you want to define something special, unique about what you're doing. That we can talk about AI and everything happening all day long. So it's a very simple, very easy. You can use the chopstick to describe it, or your own metaphor like a fairy. But anything that you make our audience would understand in the simple way. What you're doing is quite uniquely.
I think what prompted me to start my company was actually the encouragement of my technology partners who saw a gap in the market of a lot of emerging companies and emerging markets that cannot afford the big four. And so, what we essentially have at Alonsera is big four talent without the overhead and enterprise price tag of the larger companies. I think the other piece of it is our ability to be agile. So after building a lot of those practices, you're usually going into very singular lanes on either a consulting competency, a product expertise, or engineering expertise, and our ability piecemeal. And our ability to bring all of those together is really unique. And then the other unique proposition of Alonsera is that we are such a diverse company. 3 out of our partners are all Asian heritage. So I think it's just kind of kismet where Korea had invited me and about a year ago, and suddenly here I am in ASEAN and the doors are opening, and I really feel, as someone who was born in the Philippines, educated in the West, that there is a calling for me to really come back to the ASEAN region and empower the ASEAN region. And I think it's about time, and I'm really excited about that opportunity. To the point of the chopsticks, right? I think the East has a lot of opportunity, particularly with data and digital and AI, to beat the West, or really actually empower our people to provide that equality and pay gap that we are seeing in the market.
Super. I have a few good keyword here. You the identify gap, the gap filler. You also, you don't do piecemeal, but you put things together. We used the puzzle before, different pieces and put them together. Now we're using chopstick, and exactly when you using the chopstick in the right way, you pulling everything together to get to your goal.
At the heart of our company, I think this is really important, is that we truly believe any company or organization, regardless of size or budget, deserves democratized data and AI deployment.
Diversifies and ethical and democratic. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We would have more to discuss, but I would like to wish you all the best for your journey in Asia. But most of all, it's a very selfish perspective. We would love to have more of you coming and your team in Vietnam, helping us to do better with AI and achieve our amazing goal as a emerging company and country, and we are willing to change, to make changes.
I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so grateful to be in Vietnam. It's been on my wish list for a really, really long time. So I would love nothing more than to come back and to help empower the region and the people. So, Daman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay!
Cheers.